getting just started, so give us a second.
Four eyes.
You want me to read it? I want you to go. I want you to go first. Okay.
All right, what's going on, everyone? We are here live at Tonic Seafood and Steak here in downtown Wilmington, Delaware, and we have returned for our second year here at the Birds Breakdown, but it's even better this year. We are sponsored today by, of course, Tonic Seafood and Steak, as we are live here, voted the best Delaware and Dinner's Choice in 2020. We are also sponsored today by Legal Shield, the power of long firm in the palm of your hand. Wi-Fi, gluten-free and awesome internet, of course, and King Creative. Every story has an audience. Let the blue line tell yours. All right, today we are hosted in Birds Breakdown by myself, John El Parcero, Philly United of all things sports and culture, and of course, I got the man himself, the Philly sports guy. What's going on, man? I'm so glad we can finally do this. It is you and I talking birds. It was a little rough to start off, but I'm excited to just do this and just talk some birds. You know, it's been so long with the year that we have had, and we can talk some Eagles, even though it wasn't the best. But what's going on today?
Hey, you know what? It's so awesome to have you here, and here at the beautiful Tonic. It's just, I'm all excited. I'm all pumped up. Football is back, baby.
Sir.
Oh, what it's been too long without sports, and then all of a sudden we got inundated with all these sports, but the first thing to happen in 2020 that was supposed to happen on time and on schedule was football, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm super excited about all that. It's so awesome to have you here, El Parcero. I appreciate it. It's been it's great. Last year I did this all by myself, yelling and screaming and carrying on, and so it's great to actually have somebody to come talk to. And like I said, I follow you on the Union. This man is. You want to talk about some football? He knows football, but he's all big Union guy. But he also knows his Eagles. He knows all Philadelphia sports. And I tell you, there ain't nobody better than to have El Parcero here with me.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I said that right.
No, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
I appreciate that.
And of course, today it's about the American football here today. And this is your second year doing it. First off, thank you for allowing me to hop on and do this with you, man.
Well, I appreciate you coming on with me. Like I said, this was one of these things where I needed to have some help here with me. And I know everybody loves to hear me yell and scream and carry on, but it's sometimes even better to have a conversation about what's going on about our birds. And I tell you, there's a lot to talk about today, because we didn't have any preseason, we didn't get to see anything ahead of time, and now all of a sudden, we have a tale of two halves. Oh, what a mess! What a mess! Tell me, what did you think about yesterday's game?
So obviously, we didn't have football for so long, right? And I was excited. The Eagles were back, and in the first half, they looked so good. Philly sports guy, it looked like the way the season ended last year. I felt like this team took the next level. We started off 17-0, then 40 seconds left in the first half. The interception, and then the game changed right away, and we really just could not move forward. The offensive line, we're gonna dive deep into that offensive line, because that's obviously what everyone wants to talk about. But there's a lot of question marks here. Obviously, Carson Wentz's skills have been questioned right now. Doug Peterson's coaching decisions has been questioned here. Jim Schwartz, the same thing in this defense. So I think a lot of us in Eagles Nation are looking at this team, and they're doing the same thing, looking themselves in the mirror. And it's still week one, but that's not the type of loss you want. Especially everyone's giving everyone credit for the Washington. We lost to the football team.
Right.
Philly sports guy, the freaking not even a name. The football team.
They don't even have a name. I don't care what they call themselves. I didn't expect it to be even a close game. And the fact that they came out as strong as they did, moved right down the field like clockwork. I kind of thought that was going to be the tail of the game, that they were just going to be able to do. There was going to be a little rust that came off, but ultimately that we were going to be able to just move the ball and just do what we wanted to do at will. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And I'm surprised that it didn't happen that way. It kind of bothered me that I'm one of those guys. You guys know me. I'm very passionate. I was all day doing lives and doing some videos, just talking about during the game how I kind of felt about things. And I was a little frustrated when it came to the second half of this game, and even some of the first half, when they start doing certain things. When he was doing the check down, I knew what the play was. And every time, if I know what the play is, I know that the Washington team knows what knows what's going on. So, and I am not paid to be the coach of the team. So if I know what it is, then that means they know what it is and they can stop it. And that happened all day long. Not only, I tell you, I felt that this loss, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around, and we're going to talk about a lot of the blame. But I tell you, this loss specifically is on the head of Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson was the problem. His coaching was the problem, and everything else. The talent was there. There was some things. Yeah, obviously we were missing some pieces. Both our tackles that we started off the season were out yesterday. Of course, the bodyguard looked like he was not the bodyguard. He wasn't the guy that we know and love. Jason Peters. And on top of that, it just seemed like it just started to snowball. Once things started to go bad, they started to go bad.
Sports guy, the bodyguard looked like the bouncer today because he allowed you in here today.
I tell you,
like he allowed Chase Young in the backfield
all day long.
And the thing is, when you got the pass rush of the defense coming at you the way it is, you got to try something new. And like the fact that they were exposing and going back to the long ball, there was too many times I saw the long ball. Use that in the right situations. And if you had a running game, then the safeties would come up and you would be able to throw those long balls. But like you said, there was just a lot of missed calls, I felt like, by Doug Peterson, and going a little ballsy week one. There was just this team. Obviously, there's still some pieces that hasn't played together. So we just need to, this week, go hard at it in practice. This is a team that against the Rams, although we'll talk about in a second, got the win against Dallas. Thank you to LA for beating the Cowboys. We always will appreciate that. Shouts out to the Cowboys fan in the stands here. But we will find out a lot about this team.
Hey, just so that everybody knows, every time we talk about Dallas, I gotta say Dallas sucks. That's a given. Everybody knows that's how I feel. Dallas sucks. So and anything on the fans. The fans don't play for the team, but the team, Dallas sucks. That's all I got to say.
I want to ask you something. Your thoughts on Carson Wentz, because obviously it's 50-50 as far as the positive and negative on Carson Wentz after yesterday.
So I tell you, I felt like Carson Wentz did everything he was supposed to do in the first half. I felt that first interception from Hightower, after he dropped 2 balls, and I said it out loud where I was at. I said, well, you dropped the ball. First time he dropped the ball, he goes, you keep doing that, they ain't going to throw to you again. Yeah. Then he dropped the second one. I'm like, you keep doing that, you ain't going to get into play anymore. And then the third one was the interception. Well, you notice they didn't throw to him anymore after that. Obviously they didn't trust him. He didn't miss a ball the entire preseason in practice. But then we get into the game time and balls hit you in the hand. I tell you, I got some big mitts. If I was out there, I'd be catching the ball. I don't care that I get hit. That's part of being in the NFL. And when you do stuff like that and you make those type of rookie mistakes, and that's what it is, rookie mistake. That play call with 1 minute and 37 seconds left in the first half, to go to him for a third time. Actually, it was his 4th pass. It's the one pass that he did catch. He went backwards for 2 yards. But for the 4th time, 2 that he dropped, and it went through his hands a 3rd time. And like I said, that started the ball rolling for Washington. And it's like I said, Washington, this is an NFL football team. Any given Sunday, we watch the whole movie about it. You know what I mean? It's like any given Sunday, a team can win. And I tell you, none of these teams are ever going to just lay down and die. And especially when they go into halftime and they find out their coach is going to need to get like IVs done because of the cancer that he just found out, the skin cancer he's got. I tell you, and not for nothing, life sometimes gets back in the way of football. I wish all the best to Coach Ron Rivera in that type of stuff. Like I said, beyond sports, it's like I wish you all the best. It's not simple to go through any type of cancer, and that's, I wish you and your family all the health and the speedy recovery in this type of manner. That being said, that doesn't mean that we get a pass on the way that we play. They might have played a little bit more up in the second half. They had the turnover, they started to get the momentum, and then we just could not recover.
And it was nothing crazy that they were doing either.
Nope.
It was absolutely nothing crazy. Defense, obviously we've known for the past couple of years that Washington's had a good pass rush. Like, they've always had a good front line. I recall, was it the Carson's rookie year when they ripped his jersey off, like Ryan Kerrigan ripped his jersey off. So we knew this team had a good pass rush. The injuries, you can't control injuries. They are bound to happen. I don't know why it is that we always happen to get the injuries. I don't know why that is, but that it happened. I wanted to see some more running plays, to be honest with you.
Right.
57 yards on the ground when the offensive line is playing the way it is and people are dropping balls and you can't really get anything else on the passing game. I know it's tough with the offensive line, but like I said, and if you guys follow me, I did not like the idea of going into the season with Miles Sanders as a lead back. Granted, he was great in his rookie year, and he deserved a bigger role this season. But remember when we had Jordan Howard here in Philly. Remember when we had LeGarrette Blount here in Philly. When we won a Super Bowl with LeGarrette Blount. Don't underestimate having a guy who can, get you 2 hard yards with the power back.
Right.
I feel if we would have had a power back yesterday who knows how to hit a hole between the tackles, those 2-yard rushes by Boston Scott or Corey Clement could have been maybe a 5-yard game or maybe an 8-yard game. You never know. But
especially Jordan Howard. I tell you, all season long.
And he got a touchdown yesterday.
Yeah, of course he did. Of course he did. Because he would carry guys. You'd hit the hole, and then he'd carry guys. It kind of angered me that we just. And the moment Boston Scott went out, there was no more running game. They didn't give the ball to Clement. I don't know what it is, if they don't trust him or not. I know that
he's a little bit slower.
Yeah, I know, but he's supposed to be the power back that we're talking about. He's supposed to be that guy. So the fact that he wasn't that guy really was a little frustrating. The fact that we got only 57 yards rushing and our number 1 running back wasn't in there. I tell you, I would have rather, instead of them put Mailata at tackle, that them put them as like a fullback and just run the line. Because I tell you, they got to figure something else out. You cannot be this weak at such a prime position as running back. And like I said, the one good feature that Washington has was their defensive line. Everything else was suspect, but the defensive line is the one strong point. And I tell you, that's one of the things that they should have worked around. And the fact that they didn't, and that all the play calling they did, the 7-step drop, I don't understand why they couldn't do 3-step drop. Why they couldn't figure out that maybe the screen was going to be the way to go a little bit. For some reason, not one screen all day. Not one screen. The one screen actually went to Hightower and it went backwards for 2 yards. That was it. That was the only screen they had. So,
he's definitely an Andy Reid disciple. Always going to the screen, and everyone knows we're going to go to the screen.
We didn't go to screen is the problem.
No, that's very true. So there's 3 things that I tell you the reason why we lost yesterday. Number 1, obviously, turnovers. We lost a turnover battle yesterday. 3 turnovers to Washington's, no turnovers, and then protection. Carson, the minute he would step back, you could tell that he was rattled, and he knew, especially in the second half, he knew that the pass rush was coming. Number 3, the turnovers conversion to points that Washington was 14 points from turnovers.
Yep.
It's almost half their points there. So definitely some adjustments need to be made. It's obviously week 1. We just talked about it. This was a weird year in 2020. No preseason, a weird training camp. So it's going to take some time, but yeah, you got to make some adjustments here.
Absolutely. So which is going to bring us right, because he kind of stepped on it a little bit, so we're going to bring it right into our Inside the Numbers. And our Inside the Numbers is brought to us by Legal Shield. Legal Shield, the power of a law firm in the palm of your hand. And I tell you, so I wanted to go on Carson Wentz's stats. So we're going to start there and then work our way down. Went 24 for 42, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I tell you, the 72.5 passer rating was less than Haskins, who went 17 for 31 with only 178 yards, but one touchdown, no interceptions. 0 interceptions. And I tell you, McLaurin, who I thought was going to be a factor in the game, was really a non-factor.
Slay Day is here, guys. Slay Day is here.
Yeah, so, and that was the one thing they only had like 230 yards total, for the entire game. In the first half, they were like non-existent. except we gave them the ball on the 20-yard line, and they went in for a touchdown with a minute and 37 seconds left, which is terrible to do. So, and then, like I said, everything happened bad for Carson. He was trying to wait for guys to get downfield, and he didn't have the time. So I don't understand why. And he couldn't throw the ball away. He couldn't figure out that, hey, I got to duck out of this guy. Since I ducked, maybe I got to either throw it away or, just throw it down so far downfield and let somebody go run after it. I was very unhappy with the way that they did things all the way around. Turnovers, as you spoke about. You know what I mean? 3 turnovers to none. 3 turnovers to none. I tell you, that there's statistics about NFL football games and how many games you win when you turn the ball over 3 times and the other team doesn't, right? There's a reason why that they have those statistics, and they stink. They stink. When you turn the ball over that many times, obviously you're going to lose the game. And even after they did all of that, they still had chances to win. You know what I mean?
It's crazy because usually Washington shoots themselves in the foot, and yesterday we did the shooting in the foot. So
absolutely. And I tell you, I have the statistics from the first half to the second half, and it kind of angered me when you see that most of our yards, and we had 18-minute time of possession and things like that for in the first half, and I think we wound up with only 29 minutes of possession. We lost the time of possession after being ahead by so much. What was it final? I got all the stats right here. Actually, yeah, we beat a 30 minutes to 29 and a half. So it was 30 and a half minutes to 29 and a half minutes. So we had the ball for 18 minutes in the first half, and then had it only for 12 in the second half because they could not do. How many 3 and outs? How many times did we see Carson Wentz on his back? And the sacks. Oh my Lord, the sacks that we gave up. 8 sacks. 8 sacks. The biggest one being, instead of him throwing the ball away and them kicking the field goal and being 2 yards short on the field goal. That stuff like that just not only burns me, but that was a big. So every kickoff that we had went into the end zone. So they start at the 25. You have an 18% chance of scoring a touchdown when you start on the 25-yard line. 18% chance. That's NFL wide. So get that field. You don't take that sack. You make that field goal. You go up. Now it's 20. We finally got more points on the board. It's 20 to, I think, 17 at the time. And then instead of them getting the ball at midfield and going only a half a field, where it's, again, now it's you're at 47%. Where you can score a touchdown. And obviously, Brandon Graham's hurt. You have all the other guys hurt. It became, it just, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. And that's poor play calling. Poor play calling. Initially I was yelling at Marty Morningweg, but really I should be yelling at Doug because he's the one that calls the plays.
And that, give that up. Won't give that
I tell you, he's going to have to. He's going to have to figure it out because this can't happen like this anymore. He's got no rhyme or reason to some of the play calls he has, and you got to have a plan. And I know that you want to keep your foot on the gas. That's his thing. Foot on the gas, foot on the gas, foot on the gas, and I can appreciate that and understand that. But you got to have a plan on what you're doing when you step on the gas. You know what I mean? You can't just say, "Oh, throw it long." Oh, we didn't make it that time. Throw it long again. Well, now we're on 3rd and 20. Now just throw it long a 3rd time. Obviously that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
No, I agree. So, and when you're up 17-0, you gotta, you run the ball a little bit, kill some clock. You have the lead, and let's get the run game going. But we never could get in that flow, and then you see Washington starting to gain back some momentum, and Doug wants to continue throwing the ball. That really kills us there. Now, however, I am a team sport, and I will give credit to Washington. And it's crazy, throughout the game, if you watch it live on Fox, them talking about highlighting the mishaps Dan Snyder has had as an owner. He literally ran. He bought a team that had some prestige. He ran it down the ground for the past 2 decades. And then, obviously, with what happened this past year, changing the name, and we don't even have a team name. You go into the season of the Washington football team. Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, who I'll get to in a second, but they come into their first season with what's going on, and give them credit because they showed up to play, and both Del Rio and both Ron Rivera outcoached Doug Peterson on this day.
Yes, they did.
And I will give them credit because they definitely do deserve it, but this cannot happen when they come up to Philly later on in the season. We better put
there
the
better
spanking
there
on
better
them.
be a whole turnaround. There better be a
yeah.
whole turnaround, and it's got to start this week. Because I tell you, you can't go 0-2. We cannot go 0-2. We have had the Rams number. We have had the Rams number, and don't think that they don't know it. Don't think that they don't think that, hey, we're ready to go ahead and come in and we're going to finally break the snide against the Eagles. So they're going to be doing everything they can, and we're going to have to do whatever we can to make sure that they stay where they're at. That we keep these trends going, the one trend that we happen to have going against the Rams.
And you really bring up a great point there because, what's the narrative every time we play Washington? We always beat their butt, right? We
won 6 straight.
DC is always like, we call him Philadelphia Junior, right? Well, we've had LA's number, and McVay's a pretty good coach, and Doug Peters has had his number. Those guys are going to come ready to play, looking for revenge the same way Washington, and we better not be ready for spanking again, guys. We cannot.
Yeah,
do that.
they got to show up. They got to feel a sense of
First
urgency.
game at the
this week.
Link, I know there's no fans, but you want to win for us being back at home at the Link.
Exactly. And it's like I said, they need the sense of urgency. They need to make sure that they are on it and doing the things that they have to do to be able to get things moving in the right direction. And we cannot, like I said, they started off great and then it trailed off fairly quickly, and that's a problem. We cannot do that over and over again. So
100%. Any last thoughts on the?
Yeah, the only other thing that I'd like to talk about is the sacks. So giving up 8 sacks, I will give 3 of those sacks to Carson Wentz. Not throwing the ball away and ducking under people and then just trying to still make something happen, never rolling out, never doing that, never doing anything other than being a statue inside the pocket. And it wasn't the time to be a statue. Obviously, our offensive line was a little beat up, and you needed to be able to get around and move around and be a little bit more mobile, and it just did not happen. So I give 3 of those sacks to Carson Wentz. I give a couple of those sacks I actually give the bulk of those sacks mostly to Doug Peterson on poor play calling. I don't know how many times that you had a play call where somebody just went dead in, straight in, untouched, and going into the quarterback. And that's a poor play call. When you got somebody who's not the running back that normally does the blocking. When you have your star running back, your number 1 lead back hurt, and then you have somebody else who's going to be able to just, again, he's small. He wound up getting hurt on a block, I think. It wasn't even him running the ball. It was him trying to block. And then, of course, Corey Clement, the reason why they put him back on IR last year was because he couldn't do those things. So I give a lot of that to Doug Peterson, and then the other couple I got to give to the offensive line. I feel like the only person who did not give up a sack yesterday was Kelsey. That's it. Everybody else was a little light, including, and I was happy to see Mailata get out there. I've been pulling for this guy, and it was not the best scenario for him.
Thrown under the fire in his first experience.
Right, exactly. And I tell you what, he held his own. His own. And that the same thing with the guard, the right guard. He actually held his own. He was a rookie, and he did okay. I think he let up only 1 sack, but, that's Jason Peters. Oh, my God. This is the position that you played your entire career, and you looked like you were a rookie at it.
He was going up against a rookie. I know his kid is special, but
right, but it's even still. And that's kind of my frustration. 8 sacks. How many yards were given up on the sack? Hold on, I got that number right here. Right here. 8 sacks. 62 yards. 8 sacks, 62 yards. We only rushed for 57 yards. 57 yards. P.U. We cannot do that anymore. That's not how that works. That's definitely, we got to be able to figure that out pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. Philly Sports Guy, look, I am one of these people, as you call, Posidelphian. I like to look at the positive things, and I will say there was a positive on this day. Dallas Goedert.
Yes.
8 catches and a touchdown, and it looks like he's got some chemistry brewing. And look, we all know what's going on with Zach Ertz and his contract talks. It looked ugly this week, but getting that production from Dallas Goedert makes you feel a little bit better. But what do we make of Zach Ertz after everything that we've seen with the contract negotiations? And then he looked a little frustrated yesterday, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I hear you. I watched what they looked like at the end of the game. That's the thing that I kind of I want to see how they hold their heads afterwards. And he walked very dejected. Very dejected. And I'm not sure why he felt so dejected. You know what I mean? Like what do you have? He only had
3 catches, a touchdown with 18 yards, 7 targets. So he had.
So he got thrown the ball
He had a
7
couple
times.
drops.
But it was just, again, I consider some of that rust. I consider some of that maybe frustration. But they're going to have to figure something out. I mean, he's got to be able to step it up a little bit better. I called Dallas Goedert. I thought Dallas Goedert was going to have a great game. And I said I thought he was going to score a touchdown. He wound up getting over 100 yards receiving, and that's something fantastic. Those are the types of numbers that you expect to get from Zach Ertz. And Goddard getting like 50, 60 yards. Just seemed that didn't quite happen the way it was supposed to. And I'm going to say that that's going to tweak and get better. Like, again, the tight end spot is the one spot that we needed to be able to have working, and it didn't work yesterday. I mean, Dallas Goedert, but we're going to need that. We're going to need the extra help on the line. If we're going to be able to, if we're going to have Swiss cheese like that and give up 8 sacks, we're going to need to have Rodgers back in there again to be able to help shore up the one side of the line.
Well, also, too, because I think in the first half what you saw, too, was the quick releases to the tight ends. We're going to need that production from those tight ends. And both those guys don't get yak straight up, and that definitely is going to help you as well.
Right. Absolutely. So, and that's some of the big thing. And you don't really see a lot of yards after the catch from Ertz, but you did see a lot of them yesterday from Goddard, which was a good thing. I like seeing that. So, and let's go. We're going to move on now. Around the Horn, and that's brought to us by Wi-Fi, serving Wilmington. Only $55 a month for internet service. Wi-Fi, gluten-free, awesome internet. And so, as of right now, we have the early game. The Giants are up on the Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-9.
Ugly one.
It's going to be. I thought that both of these teams are ugly. I think the first couple plays they fumbled the ball a couple of times. It's been a little messy, but I think my personal opinion is that Pittsburgh will come out and win this game. They're not going to cover. It's going to be an ugly game throughout. Obviously, they already missed an extra point. It's 10-9 right now going on. But I'm only going to talk about we're only going to talk about the most important games. So obviously, I'm going to save the best for last. But the first game that stuck out to me, Green Bay 43, Vikings 34. Now, anybody who listened to me at all during the week, I kept saying, bet the under, that this is going to be ugly football across the board. And I tell you, I couldn't have been more wrong. Everybody was scoring points yesterday, except the Eagles. So, that kind of frustrated me. But anyways, 43-34, and they were down a good amount during that game and came back and won. 4
touchdowns in this game. You knew he came in motivated to play after the fiasco that the Green Bay offseason was. Holy crap.
Yep, he ain't ready to give up the reins yet. I know that they brought in a new quarterback, but he ain't done yet. He's still playing. The next game that mattered to me, Seattle 38, the Falcons 25. And I know that Seattle was up in this game a lot. I'm sure it was probably a cakewalk. I didn't really watch it because I was getting more and more frustrated with the Eagles, and I was paying more attention to that game. However, the fact that they let up 25 points to the Falcons, Matty Ice is like Matty Light anymore, because he's definitely not as, not the quarterback he used to be. And I know he's from the Philadelphia area, the greater Philadelphia area. He's just not the quarterback he used to be, and that's going to be moving him.
How was Seattle an underdog in that game?
I think because they had to come across country. That's the only reason why. Had I known that, I would have definitely put the house on Seattle.
And I also have to ask you, your thoughts on the new Falcons uniforms. They were in action yesterday.
I didn't pay too close of attention.
Listen, just go back to the Jamal Anderson, the Dirty Birds uniforms. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I'm a big old school guy. Yeah, I am definitely an old school guy.
First off, this is Randall.
Randall Cunningham. Let's see. You see it, right? I got old school Randall with the Jerome Brown patch on. That's how I'm old school. I like to do it old school. That's the way I go, baby. Oh, yeah. So, but then the next game that, of course, everybody was watching, the New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Brady's. And that wound up 34-23. I think, Brady.
Are you surprised?
Not at all. Not at all. I was actually I with as tough as an off season that Breeze had, I thought that he'd come out slinging. I thought that he was going to try to, just put all of that behind him and move forward and try to move the team. I felt that Brady was going to learn what it's like to play in the NFC and behind an NFC line.
You're not playing the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills anymore.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
correct. That is correct. And I tell you, at Gronk looked like he'd been out of sports for a couple of years. He's not breaking Legos anymore on at New Year's Eve. He's actually has to play, and he looked a little weak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chemistry's going to build with the Buccaneers, but I think it was a great early statement by the Saints to show that this is still our division, and you might have to wait your turn. So it was still an exciting game. It was interesting. We got a lot of points, obviously, so the NFC South is going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, the big upset of the day, as far as I was concerned, Arizona going into San Francisco or San Jose or wherever it is that they play at and beating them. Beating the NFC champion San Francisco, 49ers, 24-20 in their home stadium.
Here's what I will say. I have to give credit to the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury. When he was hired as a coach, I clowned that franchise. I thought that was a terrible decision on their part. Drafting Kyler Murray when you had a quarterback creating a drama, I thought that was a bad idea. This is all working out. And then making the trade for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins had 14 catches yesterday.
Of course he did.
They are going to be something dangerous, and it's going to be a different style, and it's going to be exciting to watch. And you know what sucks? We're going to have to face them later on this year.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Yep, we are. Yes, we are.
Near the future.
I think, we go out to Arizona, so we're definitely playing them at their home. I think that Arizona is definitely going to be a team to watch. They came out strong. Call it maybe rust. Call this like a preseason win, maybe. But it was definitely a surprise to me to see that score. I didn't watch any of that game whatsoever. I looked at it today, and I'm like, Arizona beat the 49ers? I said that out loud in my office.
Was Kurt Warner starting? Like, what's going on?
Exactly. I was very surprised to see that. That was definitely my upset, the upset that I could talk about. And, of course, the last one, the Los Angeles Rams.
I was a Rams fan for 3 hours last night.
There you go. And that's what you should have been. I didn't get to see as much of the game as I wanted to. So 20-17, they couldn't score many points, which again, so that means that we still are tied for last place because we still have the same amount of points. We have the same record. Obviously they let up one less touchdown than we did, but that doesn't count
Dallas
against
Philly,
anything.
Man. What else can you expect?
Exactly. We started off just the way we kind of, we're middle of the season last year when we both were losing games. But I tell you, the Rams looked okay. They looked pretty good. Obviously they had some rust to knock off too, and to be able to pull it out against them makes me a little happy. That's what it is. And like I said, the Giants could be tied with the team from Washington for the NFC East lead after week 1.
If I may say about the Cowboys, it's so funny how we lose to the Washington football team. You always hear the Cowboys fans start chirping, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you always, what yesterday you heard was, Carson Wentz, he got 8 sacks and he threw 2 interceptions. You hear all the negative stuff that happened yesterday. Dak Prescott looked like an average quarterback last night.
Of course.
His third down woes are horrendous.
Not only that, I feel like that Dak is going to be not play his best football. I think he's going to deliberately not play his best football. I think that he's going to play a little timid. And I think about it when I think of the Super Bowl back when it was the Broncos against the Panthers, and you watch the quarterback there fumble the ball and then not go diving in after it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's Dak this year, all season long, and that's just.
He's trying to get paid.
Hey, listen, I don't care because Dallas sucks. Dallas sucks all the time. Dallas sucks.
Yes, sir. All right, well,
so and here we go. For our last bit, our looking ahead. And our looking ahead is brought to you by King Creative. You want your story to roar? Go to the Blue Lion. King Creative. Every story has an audience. So getting ready for the Rams. Obviously they're 1-0. You know, they are tied for the lead over there with the Cardinals, you know, and Seattle. So that's going to be a really tough division all the way around. This is triple. I think they got 3 times that they have not won this, and that this coach has gotten beaten by the Eagles. So I expect that that's going to be a very, very, very difficult game.
This always happens when it comes to the Rams. You know, we're down right now, right? Losing to the Washington football team the way we did, and now you got to face off against the Rams, who, like you just said, Doug Peterson has his number. And I think a lot of times when McVay goes up against Peterson, McVay tries to, outsmart Peterson, and Peterson just sticks to the basics of football.
Right.
Ground and pound, physical style football, just do enough that, that we don't always, kill them on the scoreboard, but we get the job done. Now, obviously this week, I don't know if you guys have watched Aaron Donald, especially last night. I'm just seeing the clip of him throwing the Cowboys center, the Cowboys guard, and him shoving Ezekiel Elliott. I'm really concerned about Carson Wentz. I'm literally going to be praying for Carson Wentz come Sunday, because I don't know if we can contain Aaron Donald.
No, yeah, definitely it's something. So, but he plays tackle in the tackle position most of the time. So that's something where it's going to be mostly Kelsey and Sayamalu. And I tell you, Sayamalu is. I have been saying Sayamalu is past the game by. I wish that we could find a replacement to him. Now, he does have good games sometimes. Yesterday wasn't one of them. You know what I mean? It was definitely, he did not show his best foot forward. So he's going to need to step up his game against Donaldson. Because on the other side, I mean, the rookie did pretty good. I mean, he's a rookie, and I'm sure that they're going to put him up against each other. Kelsey's going to not be able to pull as much, and definitely they're going to have to double team Donaldson. Absolutely double team him, which means that everybody else has got to do their job properly, and they're going to have to get rid of the ball faster. Now, of course, Lane Johnson's going to be back, which definitely is helpful. Definitely going to be helpful. And also, we're going to have Miles Sanders back, which is also going to be able to help with the running game. So those 2 things alone are going to be able to make things happen well. So that's those things are going to be able to help 100%. And then we just got, hopefully Graham's not hurt. I know that Vinny Curry's got hurt pretty bad. And there was another injury that wound up being pretty bad. That those guys, I think that Curry's going to be out for a little while. They didn't give really anything about that. Brandon Graham went through concussion protocol. Obviously they're not going to talk much about that until closer to the game time, but I expect that he'll play. He's a hockey player. He's going to be back out there. Throw some mud on it and get back out there again, as long as they let him back out there. We need Fletcher Cox. We're going to need Fletcher Cox to come in a lot stronger. And I tell you, I don't know. I don't know if this is because they decided that, that the Eagles as a whole, and I didn't even go into Howie Roseman. I could give a whole diatribe about Howie Roseman, but I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to give Howie the pass right now. But you better believe, Howie, I'm watching the linebackers. P.U. You can't do it. You cannot do it. You cannot do 3 positions and just say, you know what, we'll throw anybody out there and it'll work. Doesn't work that way. Geary was the only one that actually did anything that was a little bit worthwhile. But the other guys, you got to start putting a little bit of stock into that area. You got to. You don't have a choice. You have to do it, or else it's going to get exploited every game. Every game it's going to get exploited, and we can't do that like that.
I really think that next Sunday is going to truly come to the battle of our offense against their defense, because, when I watched last night with the Rams and the Cowboys, the Rams defense put their offense in good situations to do what they did. Because, I look at the stats, there was nothing crazy about what the Rams did. Jared Goff didn't even throw a touchdown pass, but Malcolm Brown had a solid game with 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. But, if I trust that our defense can get the job done shutting down, it's if the offense can generate enough production to get the win here. And that's really what it's going to come down to. You got to look. When Lane Johnson comes back, it's great and all, but still, We got to try to find a way to get to that run game and those quick passes. And if you get a little rhythm going, then you can hit them with the ball. But we need those other things to work first before we can start getting to that type of stuff there.
And I tell you, I didn't even see the preview line for next week, but I'd be willing to bet that even though that they're coming across, and it's a 1 o'clock game against the Rams, I would not be surprised to see that the Rams are a 7 or 8 point favorite, just by the way that this game went. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be one of those games, defensive battle. It'll come down to like maybe a minute, like a late minute field goal, right? This is going to be a tough, close one, but I want to believe that this team could put away what happened in Washington, leave it in the past, and then move forward and be the Eagles that we know them to be. You're going to be back home. I know there's no fans, but take advantage of the opportunity of being back home and just play Eagles football. Smack them in the mouth and let's run it down their throat and let's get this W here.
Yeah, we definitely need it. We need some type of show here that we have the sense of urgency going on to be able to finish this up. So I tell you, I think our first show went pretty well.
Yeah, it went
That's
pretty
what I'm
well,
talking about.
We did it.
Yeah, and I tell you, it's sometimes you never know how things are going to turn out. This one, I feel like we went like clockwork. And if the Eagles can act like this next week, we'll have something going.
It's crazy. We played a good first and a good second half.
That's what I'm talking about. Because we bring it every play of every game all day long. Hey, listen, guys, I just real quick. We know we got the game going on right now. It's just about halftime. It was 10-9. And then we got our next game going on, Tennessee against Denver. Do you like the Titans in this one, or do you like the Broncos?
I don't know. Obviously, Tennessee coming off of last year, you got to believe that they're going to come back hungry, wanting to get into the Super Bowl. But I think, people are sleeping on that Denver offense. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton as well. I think he is playing. I know he was on the injury list, but that's still a pretty good offense there. I'm going to take the Titans. I'll take the safe bet, and I'll pick the Titans winning here today.
So I will tell you that I feel like that the only team that has a home field advantage this year without fans is the Denver Broncos. That not having any preseason games going in there, you're going to need to be very together now, because now that the fans aren't there, that actually helps. When you have the fans, it actually does percussion and stuff like that. It actually helps the players. There ain't going to be no fans there. You're going to be up in the atmosphere. It's going to play a part here. I look at Denver to give the upset. I think that they upset the Titans. And I think it's going to be close. The over-under is 41 here. Everything else has gone over except this game right here that's going on right now. And of course the Eagles game, I think they pushed. But I think it's going to be like a 21-20 Broncos win.
Washington's got this man picking all the upsets now. Look at
So
this.
that's what I say. Just this time around. So, hey, listen, I want to give a big thank you to Tonic for letting us do our show here. I appreciate everybody for coming out here with us today. Our sponsors, Legal Shield, Y-Fly, and King Creative, thank you so much for looking out for us and taking care of us. We really do appreciate it. And of course, I gotta end our first show and get back on track here with a big Eagles chant.
Let's do it.
Ready? E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Oh yeah! Thanks, guys. Go Birds! Yeah!